We're going to dive into something pretty incredible: forensic pathology. It's all about how a body, even long after death, can hold the secrets to what really happened. It's amazing what the body can reveal.
So let's just start with this question. What if a silent witness could actually speak? I know, it sounds like something straight out of a movie or a crime novel, right? But believe it or not, this idea is at the absolute heart of how modern death investigations work.
Because when you get down to it, that's exactly what's happening in forensics. The human body, after death, becomes that silent witness. It holds a whole story, and forensic experts, well, they're the ones who are trained to listen, to read all those subtle clues.
Okay, so picture this. Investigators arrive at a scene. There's so much going on. Where do you even start? Well, it always begins with the most basic, most important question of all. Who? Who is this person? The very first job is to give them back their identity, their name.
And it's pretty amazing the number of tools they have to figure this out. It's not just one thing, it's like a whole toolkit they can pull from. They're looking for things that are completely unique to an individual, right? So we're talking fingerprints, dental records, and of course the big one, the gold standard, DNA analysis. And sometimes it's something as simple as a tattoo or an old scar that ends up being the key that unlocks the whole identity puzzle.
All right, so once they figured out who, or maybe even while that's still happening, the investigation pivots to the next huge question: when? Pinpointing the time of death is absolutely critical. And it's not just a guess, it's a really meticulous science.
And there's actually a technical name for this, which you might hear a lot in crime shows. It's called the post-mortem interval, or PMI for short. It's just a fancy way of saying the time that has passed since death. And figuring this out is so important for building a timeline of what happened.
So how do they do it? How do they figure out the when? Well, one of the first things they're looking for is something you've probably heard of: rigor mortis. It's that classic stiffening of the muscles that happens after death. It doesn't happen right away. It starts a few hours in, it hits its peak, and then it slowly fades over the next day or so. So just by looking at the stage of rigor mortis, investigators get their first big clue about the timeline.
Next up, there's another mortis. This one's called levormortis mortis. Basically, once the heart stops pumping, gravity takes over. The blood settles in the lowest parts of the body, creating this purplish-red discoloration. Now here's the really fascinating part. After about 8 to 12 hours, that discoloration becomes fixed. It won't move. So let's say they find the discoloration on a person's back, but the body is lying face down. Bam! They know without a doubt that the body was moved after death.
And the last piece of this time of death puzzle is algor mortis. This one's pretty straightforward. It's just the body cooling down. After death, the body starts to lose heat at a fairly predictable rate until it eventually matches the temperature of the room or wherever it is. So when you take all three of these, rigor, livor, and algor mortis, and put them together, you can get a surprisingly accurate window for the time of death.
Okay, so we've got a who and we've got a when. Now we get to the really complex part of the whole investigation: the how and the why. This is where a forensic pathologist really has to shine, to start piecing together the full story of what happened.
And before we go any further, there are two terms we've got to get straight, because they get mixed up all the time: cause of death versus manner of death. They sound kind of the same, but they are totally different. The cause of death is the specific medical thing that made someone die, what physically went wrong. The manner of death is the legal category it falls into. So for example, the cause could be a gunshot wound, but the manner could be homicide.
And when it comes to the manner of death, every investigation has to end with one of just 4 classifications. It's either natural, like from a disease, accidental, suicidal, or homicidal. And making this final call is a huge deal. It's what decides if a criminal investigation kicks off or if the case gets closed.
So, how do they get to that final ruling? Well, it all starts on the outside. They start building their case with all the external clues. They are meticulously examining the body for any kind of injury: bruises, cuts, anything that looks unusual. They're looking at the position of the body, the state of the clothing, even things in the environment that might have played a part. You can think of these as the first, most obvious pieces of the puzzle.
But of course, the story is almost never just on the surface. After that careful external exam, the investigation moves inward. They start looking for all the clues hidden inside, the ones you just can't see from the outside. And this, of course, is where the autopsy comes in, and it's where a lot of secrets are revealed. A pathologist can spot signs of hidden diseases, like heart trouble or organ failure. They can find really subtle internal evidence of something like asphyxia.
These clues are absolutely vital for figuring out what really went down, especially in cases where, from the outside, there's no obvious reason for the death.
But what if the cause is truly invisible? Like there's no obvious wound, no sign of disease, nothing? Well, that's when toxicology becomes the hero of the story. By analyzing tiny samples of blood, urine, or tissue, scientists can find what the naked eye could never see: the hidden presence of drugs, alcohol, or even poisons. And let me tell you, a toxicology report can completely flip an entire investigation on its head.
So let's step back for a second. We've got all these different pieces of evidence, right? We have the time of death indicators, the clues from the outside of the body, the findings from inside, and then the toxicology reports. The last big step is to put all of those pieces together, to turn all those separate clues into one solid conclusion.
And really, that is the heart of forensic pathology. Every single finding, whether it's the stage of rigor mortis, the location of a tiny bruise, or one result from a lab test, it's just one piece of a giant puzzle. But when you put them all together in the right order, they create this incredibly powerful, fact-based story of a person's final moments. When you think about it, the whole idea is pretty profound. Every single body tells a story, and science has given us the tools to listen to it, which kind of leaves you with a final lingering thought, doesn't it? What story will the next one reveal?